What up, YouTube? How's everybody doing? I hope everybody's doing good. We got another video about old Cucking Unfiltered. That's not my joke, guys. That was from a guy called Slade0 over there in the Discord. You guys would have seen that if you were in the Discord. Unlike Crystal Miller, I give credit to the people that helped me build build anything, whether it's a channel, a truck, a career, whatever. Right? We give credit around here. Slade0, Cucking Unfiltered, in the Discord. But he had some things to say about the reaction videos, guys, and we're gonna break it down for you.
So, a decent amount of people have messaged me, emailed me, commented on my channel about reaction content.
No, they didn't. Right? How much you guys want to bet no one fucking messaged him anything? Right? Starting off the video great with a shitty excuse. We're already not being honest, right? Just say that you watched some videos and you had an opinion about the videos that you watched, so you're making a video. It's that fucking simple, right? Nobody emailed me and said, hey, fact check in. Tommy said something. No, I watched your video and I was like, I'm gonna react to that. See how simple that was? You're already off on a bad start. But that's literally scratching the surface, guys. Let's keep going.
Now, not all reaction content is created equal, right? Am I done giving my opinion on things? Absolutely not, okay? But you gotta understand something. There are a few different types of content creators, and then there's a few different types of reaction content, okay? As far as the content itself, okay, there is content that pretty much only takes content that's produced by people, mainly YouTube, and they take that content and they react to it, right? And they don't go outside the four corners of that content. And the reason I'm using that term is if you guys know anything about the law, you'll understand what I mean by the four corners. So basically, let me give you an example. When a cop writes up a probable cause affidavit and gives it to a judge, and he's asking the judge for an arrest warrant or a search warrant for something, the judge is not supposed to go outside the four corners of that document, outside the four corners of that probable cause affidavit.
Oh, so now there's rules to this drama stuff, guys. We've never heard that before, right? We've never heard drama YouTubers talk about that. Sounds a lot like old Hensley. Old Hensley. Remember, he said we don't talk about families or anybody's wives, and then come to find out his wife is toothless and he's 500 pounds living in squalor in a rundown fucking piece of shit house that was about to be condemned. Right now we got Tommy sounding the exact same way. There's four corners, guys. There's four corners. We need to stay within them. Says who? You just got here, motherfucker. You don't make the rules. There are no rules. Right? And we got a convict teaching us about law. You know, maybe that's what he did while he was in there for 25 fucking years of his 46 years on this earth. I guess. I don't know. Right? And then who's the judge? We're the judges? Right? You just said opinion, but now we're judges, right? We're putting sentences on people. Is that what you're saying? Right? I talk shit. It's up to the people watching the video to decide if they agree or disagree. I'm nobody's judge. I don't have that kind of authority. Pretty fucking bold of you to make that claim about any kind of trucking drama.
So some content creators try to stay within the four corners of the video they're reacting to, right?
So he is absolutely right? Some people do stay within the four corners of the videos. We call that boring around here. No one wants to see that, right? We all watch the same video. We want the dirt, right? Drama sells. There's a reason why the 90s and early 2000s were entirely taken over by shitty soap operas, right? Everybody loves fucking drama. They love it, right? I know you were probably locked up during that time, so you missed that part of, life, but that's how it works, man. Drama sells.
Reaction content that digs and digs and digs into people's personal lives. Now, sometimes that stuff is publicly available, And sometimes that stuff that they talk about and they respond to is not publicly available, okay? Now, to each their own, right? To each their own, right? But when people ask me, you know, why haven't you done this? Why haven't you done that? Why haven't you talked about this or that? Why? Well, the truth of the matter is if I find out something is truly affecting somebody in a negative way, I am more likely not to do what I'm doing anymore, right? So for instance, if I was talking about Tim Gentry and I was digging into his personal life and that was causing his wife a bunch of anxiety and grief.
First of all, everything that's found is public. Right? I don't know about anybody else, but none of us work at the CIA. None of us are psychic and can read minds. None of us are reserve deputies for the state of Kentucky and use police search systems to look people up, right? Like, none of us are that. So everything is public. I don't know what he's talking about not public. Just because it's not in a video doesn't mean it's not on another social media that's public. So you're wrong there, first of all. And then secondly, about Tim Gentry's wife, right? She's so grieved and so anxious that she's still posting things on her public social media, and Tim Gentry's hanging out with us in the fucking Discord, right? That's how aggrieved she is with your hard-hitting, heavy content, that just no holds barred content that you put out, right? She's so aggrieved by that. Don't fucking use that as an excuse, pussy.
Other content creators, they don't care. They don't give a fuck, right? And it's code named seeking truth, seeking justice, okay? Now, if somebody's really not doing something that bad, like if somebody's not truly scamming or defrauding people, if somebody's not abusing a relationship, if somebody's not really truly hurting others, I would never continue to beat a dead horse, right? Because there's no truth to get. There's no justice to seek, right?
Okay, I get it here. So if I make a video, or Elite makes a video, or Billy makes a video, right, we're lying, right? We're seeking justice or truth, and it's all bullshit, right? But when you make a video about someone, oh, it's real, right? You're seeking justice. You're finding the truth, right? I don't know how you're doing all that without digging into people off of YouTube, right? But you know that only applies to you. Okay, I see where we're going with this, guys.
If all I'm talking shit about is people holding a cell phone while they're driving a commercial vehicle down a mountain, if all I'm doing is like busting balls and making fun of people, and I'm trying to get an audience out of that, and I'm trying to make somebody laugh, that's one thing, right?
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Into the ground for personal satisfaction or attention or even money, really.
Remember that he said that, guys. You know, he has noble intentions. He's not doing this for attention. He's not doing it for money. Nothing like that, right? I'll be honest with you guys. I do this shit for the love of the game, right? I have nothing to gain from this other than just liking drama and liking making videos about drama, right? I don't have any excuses. I don't have any bullshit story. I'm not trying to change the world or save the planet. I just like the fucking drama, guys. Unlike Tommy, I can just be honest with you guys about my intentions.
Any of these other big YouTubers that have some kind of name, I can harp on their life, harp on their personal relationships, harp on their business decisions. I can really beat a dead horse, right? But if I have any indication, now, let me remind you what I just said. If I find out they're a scammer, if I find out they're stealing from people, okay? Yes, I would do content like that over and over and over until I really affected them, right? Until I stopped the illegal activity that they were doing.
So what that sounds like to me is you do dig into people's personal lives and things that are off of YouTube. and you code name it Seeking Justice or Truth, right? So it sounds like, and this is just my opinion, guys, but it sounds like Trucking Unfiltered is no different from the rest of us drama YouTubers. It sounds like he's just fucking like us and his fingernails are as dirty as anyone else's. I don't know why he's trying to portray himself differently, but he just fucking said it, right? If there's some kind of truth or justice that needs to be sought, he's going to go after them on a personal level, and he's going to do it over and over and over again and beat a dead horse just like he said he doesn't do. I don't know, guys. That's what I heard. But again, it's up to you, right? It's court of public opinion.
But if all we're talking about is having an open marriage or cheating on their wife or you know, just being a dumb fuck on camera, at a certain point in time, you have to think to yourself, you're going too far. You might be affecting people's lives. Now, I'm not saying I was personally affecting anybody's life by talking shit and busting their balls. But if I was, I might calm down. I might stop making reaction videos.
Wouldn't a guy saying he was a good Christian man who's completely innocent, wouldn't it be seeking truth and or justice to expose that open relationship and the lies and all the bullshit, right? Which is something you said you would do. You would harp on someone's personal life in the interest of seeking justice or truth, right? So don't try to backpedal now. You already said that's something you would do. And that is the kind of drama that sells. That's what gets the views. And you're all about them views, so you know, maybe you should start doing that content. And don't worry, you never did, right? Your content was never hard-hitting. You didn't change anybody. I find it hilarious that you think you did. So, you know, you can go ahead and calm down with that. You weren't hurting anybody's feelings with your weak shit.
Now, why did I stop making reaction videos about Tim Gentry? I'm going to be honest. Number one, it was getting old. It was the same old shit over and over and over and over and over, right? And I think the man was listening to me. I think some of the shit that I said to the man, he might have taken it to heart. Did he completely change his ways? No, but I don't care, right? I just did this for entertainment. I just talk shit to make some money off of it. If he learns a little something along the way, great. If I learn a little something along the way, that's great too. But it was possible that the atmosphere on YouTube was getting a little too abusive towards his wife, right? Towards his family, towards his wife. And I didn't want to be any kind of part of that.
You didn't want to be a part of that. Yeah, you were calling his kid fat and all kinds of other shit. So I don't know what that was all about. Sounds pretty hypocritical to me. And the fact that you would think that you changed him at all, again, your content was weak as fuck, right? You weren't contributing to anything. At best, you were just stating your opinion on the quality of their videos. At best, right? You didn't change Gentry's mind. You didn't shift his perspective in any fucking way. And the fact that you would try to insert yourself into that situation shows how fucking desperate for relevancy you are. I mean, it's pretty fucking pathetic, dude. And that's gonna come into later when you're calling everybody that does trucking drama losers, because you're over here desperately trying to insert yourself into the same relevancy of drama that the people that actually do make hard-hitting content are in. And I just, as soon as you said that, I was like, is this dude delusional? Maybe, but he's definitely desperate to be inside the quote-unquote cool kids club. His words, not mine. He's projecting that everybody else is trying to be some kind of a cool kid, but then here he is trying to say that he's changing hearts and minds out here with his boring-ass content.
Now, but here's the weird thing about it is some of these content creators, they will take something that you said 6 years ago, that you haven't said recently at all. You said it 6 years ago, and they will juxtapose it. They will use it to show that you're a liar today, right? So how does something you say 6 years ago, or something you were doing 6 years ago. Now, if somebody says, I never did that, I never said that, and then you got them saying it 6 years ago, there, you used it to prove them a liar, right? That's good. There's nothing wrong with that.
It's not weird, Tommy. It's called building the case, right? Things that people said in the past can help to build a picture of who they are as a person today, right? And I know you're trying to, dismiss it so that nothing you said 6 years ago could ever affect you today. But I'll give you an example of how something you said a long time ago can affect how you're viewed today and could explain a lot about your personality today. Here's an example.
I go the same route every other felon and drug addict goes. It's little bullshit in the beginning and then it gets bigger.
Compounds, yeah.
I go to the California Youth Authority. I do 2.5 years, from 17 years to 19 years old. At 19 years old, I get paroled. So I parole to Colorado Springs, and I do good for a few months, right? And I meet some people, and we start doing meth together. I get put on adult probation for meth possession at about 20 years old. Just a few months out of California prison, juvenile prison. So later on I will go on to learn that I used to think I was hanging out with the wrong people. And they were, not that they were having me do drugs, but if I didn't hang out with those people, I'd be all right? Well, come to find out, after I get to Colorado Springs and I find the crowd with the meth and I start doing meth and selling meth and all this other shit, later on I find out it's just me. I'm a fucking dope fiend. You know what I mean? And I got an addictive personality. So I'm in Colorado Springs. I get put on probation. I violate the probation a few times. My grandfather dies. I start doing meth again. I'm running from the cops, high-speed chases, all this shit. I go to prison for 6 years, 5 years, 1 month. 5 years, 1 month I go to prison, from 21 to 26 years old.
Wow.
I get out, and I'm out at 26 to 27. I'm out for 14 months. I get married. I buy a house. I have a stepson. Everything's cool. Then I start doing meth again. Because of stress and financial worries, I start getting high again to forget my problems. I'm about to lose my house because I'm not working because I'm getting high. We financed a house while I was on parole, my wife and I. And when you are under the influence of meth, you're thinking very irrationally. So I'm thinking to myself, I can never lose my house. I can't lose my house. I can't let them repo it or foreclose on it. My family lives here. I'll be a disappointment. I'll be a fucking loser. So in my irrational, meth-soaked brain, I think, well, I'm going to save this house at all costs.
Yeah.
So I rob over 10 banks.
Wow. 10 banks?
Yeah. In a 2-month period, we rob over 10 banks.
All right, so you want to know how something from 6 years ago can be relevant today? Well, that audio is a perfect example, right? You're self-admitted to being a dope fiend, being addicted to meth. Your words, not mine, right? You've been on it your whole fucking life, it sounds like. 6 years ago, your voice is clearer than it is now, but you're supposed to be clean for the last 12 years? How are you clean, but now you sound like a burnout? Right? So it's important to know that audio from 6 years ago to answer these questions. So, and then you said you made weird decisions when you were high. Just odd decisions. I found it odd that a guy that only has 4 years of CDL experience and no business experience would think that he would be in a good enough shape to buy a 1.9 million shit box and fucking be profitable. I don't know, guys. Right? And you do make weird decisions. You were afraid of your plates being found, but then you show your friends' plates. Just stuff like that, right? So there you go, right there, guys. That's how 6 years ago could be relevant today. I know Tommy struggles with this, but I think you guys can see how looking up old shit could help with things today.
But if someone is just living their life a certain way today and saying certain things today that they weren't saying 6 years ago, that doesn't make them a liar. That makes you a scumbag for trying to compare 6 years ago to today, right? That's grasping at straws. That's running out of content. I mean, people change their mind all the time. People change their opinions all the time. People change their living situations all the time, right?
These are all valid points, right? And I might be a scumbag, but you're here in the scum with me, in case you forgot, right? You can delete the videos and pretend it never happened, but you're right here with me, dirty fingernails and all, right? And yeah, people can change their minds. They do it all the time. I'm a reasonable person. However, there's also something called pattern recognition. And 6 years ago, it seemed like you had a pattern of going to meth and making stupid decisions and being weird and unstable, you know, like coming out of nowhere with a drama reaction video all wild-eyed and talking fast. You know, that wild-eyed talking fast demeanor is relevant now that we have that audio from 6 years ago, don't you think?
I could have had 2 chicks in my bed 2 months ago, 2 chicks at the same time. And right now, I only may have 1 chick in my bed. Does that mean I'm a liar? Or does that mean things change from month to month, right? And that's one of the reasons I don't like getting caught up in certain types of reaction content, because it's not reaction content. It's digging dirt content. It's grasping at straws content. That's what it is. It's just dirty, low down, dirty, fucking nasty, grimy people that probably got picked on in high school.
It's not grasping at straws when it paints a very real picture of someone's character, allegedly. Right? It's important to say allegedly. And you say it's dirty, scumbaggy material. I'll tell you this, man. I think someone who would live with their baby mama, have her raise his child, and take care of the house that he lives in while he goes out and plays truck driver, I think it'd be really fucking dirty, low-down, scumbaggy shit for that person to disrespect the fuck out of that woman by going around and fucking a bunch of goobers from fucking Tinder, right? Because we've seen at least one example of the women that you pull, right? And there's a saying, right? You know, quality versus quantity. Just because you're getting a lot doesn't mean it's worth it. You know, if I wasn't married, I could jump on the old Tinder myself and just pull a bunch of ones who are desperate for attention and talk about all the puss I'm getting, right? But I'm one of those traditional men where I go home to the same vagina that I've had for 30 years, right? But the difference is that vagina is quality, Tommy, right? That's grade A USDA vertical seafood taco, right? I don't need to wrap myself when I'm using it, right? I can just bury my face in that vertical seafood taco, and I know that I'm not going to wake up the next morning with a bunch of weird bumps on my face and lips. You know, I think that is a flex. If we're going back to your flexing video, I think that's a flex, Tommy, is that I know I'm not going to end up with some weird shit from some garbage that I picked up at a fucking Mesa Circle K so that I could flex on a bunch of people on the internet because I need validation, right? So it's not dirtbag content, Tommy, if there's substance to it. And based on your current behavior, there's looking like there's some substance to it there, buddy.
Right? That's what a lot of the quote-unquote reaction content creators are. They're people that got picked on in high school. And now they think they're a cool kid because they get a few followers on social media, but in reality, they ain't cool kids. They're dorks. They're adult dorks that run to the internet and have live streams to try to have friends, right? There's a...
And here you are explaining yourself to them, right? All those dorks that are beneath you Those dorks that didn't spend more than half their adult life in prison and then get a few years of freedom and think they understand how the world works, right? You're explaining yourself to those dorks. And I would argue that based on how you ended up in life, I would say you were probably the kid that got bullied. Just throwing that out there. Very low confidence. You know, just no guidance, nowhere to go in life. So you just ended up in jail, right? I feel bad for you. You seem like the bullied kid. But hey, allegedly.
But truckers do the same thing. A lot of trucking YouTubers do the same thing. So we could say we're talking about them too. They're losers, for lack of a better word, right?
I hate to break it to you, loser, but now that you deleted all your reaction videos, you're a fucking trucking YouTuber, and you're the shittiest one. We like our wings. Always like it when there's balloons. We're at our mud puddle, we call it a lake. That's you, trucking YouTuber, and it's garbage.
I mean, who else goes live on an Easter Sunday at the house? Easter Sunday at your house, Mr. Button, I'm talking about you. Who goes live on Easter Sunday for fucking 3 or 4 hours? Somebody that has no friends. Somebody that has no hobbies. Somebody that really doesn't have a lot of conversation to have with their significant other, maybe. I don't know, but it's just, it kind of sucks calling myself a reaction content creator when I get lumped in with every single person that puts their opinion out on the internet, because not every single person that puts their opinion on YouTube is worth a fuck, right?
But Tommy's wisdom and sage advice are definitely worth a fuck, right? He's dropping truth bombs out here, hard-hitting content, and super fucking exciting vlogs, guys, right? And, you know, I'm no fan of Mr. By the Mile, but I mean, we've seen Tommy try to vlog his life. It doesn't look like he has much going on either, so, you know, I guess get some friends and some hobbies if you're going to talk about other people's friends and hobbies. Something more than just, you know, eating out at fucking bullshit restaurants in Phoenix and, you know, talking about wings. We like our wings. And he's separate from all of us, guys. Like, he hates being lumped in with the rest of us. The rest of us losers, right? I gotta get out there and do some meth because I gotta catch up to this fucking winter.
They're, for lack of a better word, a lot of these people are just losers. And that's why they're on YouTube, putting their opinion on YouTube, because they're seeking validation. They're trying to make a little more money in their household. But not only the money, it's the likes, it's the comments, it's the shares that give them their worth in life. And that's not me. So I don't need to make reaction content. I make reaction content, number one, for money, and number two, to educate and entertain people.
Remember earlier when he said it's not about the money? Well, that didn't last long, did it? Didn't even make it through a whole video. And then I don't know who he's educating, because again, you know, he spent most of his life locked up or high, so I don't know what he has to teach us. I guess don't go to jail and don't get high. I feel like that would have been just one video and we would have got that message, so I don't know. I don't know what else you could teach us. Maybe how to get the shit kicked out of us in amateur MMA. I mean, that's not something I'm looking forward to, so you can keep that to yourself. I don't want to participate in that. But that little rant at the end here, that was a man pouring his heart out. Everything he said about people being losers and just trying to make a little extra money for their household and seeking validation online and trying to make friends through YouTube, that was him telling you everything about himself. He just didn't realize it. Right? That was a man pouring his inner thoughts out. His conscience busted loose for a second and just dropped his own truth on him as he was, you know, ranting at his camera there. So that's just go back and watch it again if you have to. That last little rant of his, that's him telling us what he feels about himself, and he didn't even realize it. But hey guys, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I wasn't gonna let that reaction go unexploited, I guess. That was reaction gold. Tommy is turning into a fucking lolcow, if I've ever seen one. And I'm here for it, right? Keep it up. Keep doing the cringe. But anyway, guys, enjoy the rest of your day. And if you like the video, please subscribe to the channel so that when I make fun of people like Tommy, it hurts more because I have more subscribers.